In the popular imagination, the Crusades often conjure images of violence, conquest, and religious intolerance. However, beneath the surface of this commonly held belief lies a more nuanced and complex reality. While it is undeniable that the Crusades were marked by conflict and bloodshed, there were also positive aspects to these historical events that are often overlooked. The Crusades served as a catalyst for cultural exchange and cross-cultural interaction. As European knights embarked on their journeys to the Holy Land, they encountered civilizations and cultures vastly different from their own. Through trade, diplomacy, and intellectual exchange, they were exposed to new ideas, technologies, and perspectives that would ultimately enrich European society and contribute to the flowering of the Renaissance. They provided opportunities for social mobility and economic advancement for many individuals who might otherwise have been confined to their station in life. Peasants, artisans, and merchants who joined the Crusades had the chance to rise above their humble origins and carve out new opportunities for themselves in the wider world. Many returned from their travels with newfound wealth, knowledge, and prestige, contributing to the social and economic vibrancy of medieval Europe. The Crusades fostered a spirit of solidarity and cooperation among Christian nations as rulers and peoples from across Europe united in a common cause. Despite their differences and rivalries, they set aside their disagreements to confront a perceived threat to their faith and civilization. This sense of unity and shared purpose helped to strengthen the bonds between European nations and laid the groundwork for the emergence of a broader sense of European identity. They also played a crucial role in the preservation and transmission of knowledge and learning. As European scholars traveled to the East in search of ancient texts and manuscripts, they brought back with them priceless treasures of knowledge that had been lost or forgotten in the West. These works, translated into Latin and disseminated throughout Europe, helped to spark a revival of learning and scholarship that would lay the foundations for the intellectual achievements of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. The legacy of the Crusades can be seen in the architecture of medieval cities, the art and literature of the period, and the enduring influence of Christian ideals and values on Western civilization. While it is important to acknowledge the dark and troubling aspects of the Crusades, it is equally important to recognize their positive contributions to the shaping of the modern world. By examining the Crusades from a more balanced and nuanced perspective, we can gain a deeper understanding of their complex legacy and the lessons they hold for us today. Amidst the tumult of the Crusades, there emerged instances of remarkable cultural exchange and collaboration between different civilizations. One such example is the flourishing of trade and commerce that occurred along the routes traveled by Crusaders to the Holy Land. As European knights ventured eastward, they encountered thriving markets and bustling cities, where goods from distant lands exchanged hands and ideas flowed freely. This exchange of goods and ideas not only enriched the economies of both East and West, but also facilitated the transfer of knowledge and technology between civilizations. European merchants returning from the East brought back exotic spices, textiles, and other luxury goods, which spurred demand and stimulated economic growth in Europe. Similarly, they brought back scientific and philosophical texts from the Islamic world, laying the groundwork for the transmission of knowledge that would fuel the Renaissance. Furthermore, the Crusades provided an impetus for technological innovation and military advancement. European knights adopted new tactics and strategies from their encounters with Muslim armies, while also adapting Eastern weapons and armor for use in their own campaigns. The introduction of innovations such as the crossbow, the trebuchet, and fortified castles revolutionized medieval warfare, shaping the course of military history for centuries to come. In addition to military and economic exchanges, the Crusades also facilitated cultural and intellectual encounters between East and West. European scholars traveling to the Holy Land encountered centers of learning and scholarship in the Islamic world, where they were exposed to advanced mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. These encounters sparked a renaissance of learning in Europe, as scholars sought to translate and incorporate the knowledge they had acquired into their own intellectual traditions. Moreover, the Crusades fostered a spirit of religious tolerance and coexistence in some regions, where Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived side by side in relative harmony. In cities such as Jerusalem, Acre, and Constantinople, members of different faiths interacted freely, exchanging ideas, languages, and cultural practices. This spirit of multiculturalism and religious pluralism left a lasting imprint on the cultural landscape of the Crusader states and contributed to the rich tapestry of human diversity in the region. While it is important to acknowledge the violence and suffering that accompanied the Crusades, it is equally important to recognize the positive legacies that emerged from these historical events. Through trade, innovation, and cultural exchange, the Crusades forged connections between East and West that continue to shape the world we live in today. By exploring these lesser-known aspects of the Crusades, we gain a deeper understanding of their complex legacy and their enduring impact on human history. Amidst the tumult of conflict during the Crusades, a remarkable legacy of interfaith interaction emerged, defying the prevailing narrative of religious animosity. In the crucible of the Holy Land, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews converged, instances of cooperation, dialogue, and mutual respect emerged, leaving a lasting imprint on the cultural fabric of the region. One of the most enduring legacies of the Crusades is the architectural marvels that arose from the collaboration between different religious communities. In cities like Jerusalem and Acre, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews coexisted, architectural styles blended seamlessly, resulting in stunning monuments that reflected the shared cultural heritage of the region. The construction of churches, mosques, and synagogues side by side served as a tangible symbol of the spirit of tolerance and coexistence that characterized the Crusader states. Furthermore, the Crusades provided opportunities for intellectual exchange and dialogue between scholars and theologians of different faiths. In centers of learning such as Toledo, Cordoba, and Antioch, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews lived and worked together, ideas flowed freely across religious boundaries. Scholars engaged in debates, translated texts, and collaborated on scientific and philosophical inquiries, contributing to a flourishing of intellectual and cultural exchange that transcended religious divisions. Moreover, the Crusades fostered a spirit of religious pluralism and acceptance in some regions, where members of different faiths lived side by side in relative harmony. In the multicultural melting pot of the Crusader states, Christians, Muslims, and Jews interacted freely, sharing meals, trading goods, and celebrating festivals together. This spirit of coexistence and mutual respect left an indelible mark on the cultural landscape of the region, shaping the traditions, customs, and identities of successive generations. While it is important to acknowledge the dark and troubling aspects of the Crusades, including instances of violence and religious intolerance, it is equally important to recognize the positive legacies that emerge from these historical events. Through their encounters with different religious traditions, Crusaders and inhabitants of the Holy Land alike forged connections, built bridges, and laid the groundwork for a legacy of interfaith understanding and cooperation that endures to this day. By exploring these lesser-known aspects of the Crusades, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and richness of the historical tapestry that binds us together as human beings. Amidst the turbulence of the Crusades, a surprising outcome emerged: a flourishing of artistic and cultural exchange that transcended religious divides. In the diverse melting pot of the Crusader states, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews coexisted, a rich tapestry of artistic expression and cultural innovation unfolded. One of the most remarkable legacies of the Crusades is the fusion of artistic styles and traditions that emerged from the interaction between different civilizations. In cities like Jerusalem, Acre, and Damascus, where cultural exchange thrived, artists from diverse backgrounds came together to create breathtaking works of art that blended Eastern and Western influences. From illuminated manuscripts and intricate mosaics to ornate textiles and exquisite metalwork, the artistic output of the Crusader states reflected the vibrant diversity of the region. Furthermore, the Crusades provided opportunities for the exchange of ideas and techniques in the fields of architecture and engineering. European knights, inspired by the grandeur of Islamic architecture, brought back with them new construction methods and design principles that transformed the landscape of medieval Europe. The influence of Islamic architectural elements, such as horseshoe arches, domed ceilings, and geometric patterns, can be seen in the cathedrals, castles, and palaces built during the Crusader period. Moreover, the Crusades sparked a renewed interest in the literary and intellectual traditions of the East. European scholars, eager to learn from their Muslim counterparts, studied Arabic texts on philosophy, science, and medicine, which had been preserved and developed in the Islamic world. These translations not only preserved ancient knowledge, but also laid the foundation for the revival of learning and scholarship in Europe during the Renaissance. In addition to fostering artistic and intellectual exchange, the Crusades also contributed to the preservation and transmission of cultural heritage. European travelers returning from the East brought back with them precious artifacts, manuscripts, and relics from the Holy Land, which enriched the cultural landscape of their home countries. These cultural treasures served as tangible reminders of the shared heritage of humanity and inspired future generations of artists, scholars, and explorers. While the Crusades were marked by violence and conflict, they also gave rise to unexpected opportunities for artistic and cultural flourishing. In the crucible of the Holy Land, where civilizations collided and cultures mingled, a vibrant tapestry of artistic expression and cultural innovation unfolded, leaving an indelible mark on the history of human civilization. As we reflect on the legacy of the Crusades, let us not only remember the tragedies and injustices of the past, but also celebrate the moments of beauty, creativity, and cultural exchange that emerged amidst the chaos of war. In the wake of the Crusades, amidst the clash of civilizations and the exchange of ideas, a lesser-known but significant legacy emerged: advancements in science and medicine. The interaction between different cultures during this tumultuous period paved the way for the transmission of knowledge and the development of new scientific and medical practices. One of the most notable contributions of the Crusades to scientific advancement was the exchange of botanical knowledge. European crusaders returning from the Middle East brought back with them a wealth of knowledge about medicinal plants and herbs used by Arab physicians. This knowledge, combined with traditional European herbal remedies, enriched the pharmacopoeia of medieval Europe and laid the groundwork for the development of modern pharmacology. Moreover, the Crusades facilitated the exchange of medical knowledge and techniques between East and West. European knights, exposed to the advanced medical practices of the Islamic world, brought back with them new surgical techniques, diagnostic methods, and pharmaceutical preparations. These innovations, such as the use of anesthesia and antiseptics, revolutionized medical practice in Europe and contributed to the improvement of patient care and outcomes. In addition to advancements in medicine, the Crusades also spurred progress in the field of astronomy and navigation. European scholars, inspired by the astronomical observations and mathematical achievements of Arab astronomers, made significant strides in the study of celestial phenomena and the development of navigational instruments. The introduction of new astronomical instruments, such as the astrolabe and the quadrant, enabled sailors to navigate more accurately and explore new trade routes, leading to the expansion of European knowledge and influence. Furthermore, the Crusades fostered the exchange of scientific ideas and theories between different cultures. European scholars, eager to learn from their Muslim counterparts, studied Arabic texts on mathematics, physics, and natural philosophy, which had been preserved and developed in the Islamic world. These translations not only preserved ancient knowledge, but also laid the foundation for the scientific revolution in Europe during the Renaissance. While the Crusades were marked by violence and conflict, they also provided opportunities for the exchange of knowledge and the advancement of scientific understanding. Through their interactions with different cultures, crusaders and inhabitants of the Holy Land alike contributed to the development of new scientific and medical practices that would shape the course of human history. As we reflect on the legacy of the Crusades, let us not only remember the battles and conquests, but also celebrate the moments of discovery, innovation, and collaboration that emerged amidst the chaos of war. Beyond the realm of warfare and religious fervor, the Crusades left a profound economic impact on the regions involved. The movement of armies, merchants, and pilgrims across vast distances gave rise to new trade routes and commercial networks that reshaped the economic landscape of Europe and the Middle East. One significant outcome of the Crusades was the revitalization of trade routes linking Europe to the East. As European crusaders journeyed to the Holy Land, they established trade networks that facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures between East and West. The demand for goods such as spices, silks, and precious metals from the East spurred the growth of trade along established routes such as the Silk Road and the Spice Route. Moreover, the Crusades stimulated the growth of urban centers and commercial hubs along these trade routes. Cities like Venice, Genoa, and Constantinople flourished as intermediaries in the trade between Europe and the Levant, accumulating wealth and power through the control of key maritime routes and trade networks. The influx of wealth from trade with the East fueled the growth of these cities, leading to the development of vibrant markets, bustling ports, and thriving commercial districts. Furthermore, the Crusades fostered innovation and entrepreneurship in the realms of finance and banking. European merchants, faced with the challenges of conducting long-distance trade, developed new financial instruments and banking practices to facilitate commerce across borders. The emergence of banking houses and merchant guilds enabled merchants to pool resources, mitigate risks, and expand their commercial ventures, laying the groundwork for the development of modern banking and finance systems. In addition to stimulating trade and commerce, the Crusades also facilitated the exchange of agricultural and technological innovations between East and West. European crusaders returning from the Middle East brought back with them new crops, irrigation techniques, and agricultural practices that improved agricultural productivity and food security in Europe. The introduction of crops such as citrus fruits, sugarcane, and cotton from the East revolutionized European agriculture and contributed to the growth of urban centers and the expansion of trade networks. While the Crusades were driven by religious fervor and political ambition, their economic impact was far-reaching and enduring. Through the movement of goods, people, and ideas, the Crusades transformed the economic landscape of Europe and the Middle East, laying the foundation for the emergence of global trade networks and the interconnected world we live in today. As we reflect on the legacy of the Crusades, let us not only remember the battles and conquests, but also acknowledge the economic transformations that emerged from these historical events.